Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Skald Against the Black Priory, where today, although we do still have some pretty major father issues to deal with, we do have Haran in a temporary state of equilibrium, so I figured this might be a good time to pop out and tie up some loose ends. Bank a few quick rewards before we get entrenched in the really heavy stuff. I mean, you know it's coming. And first things first, we've got some level ups in the queue, so let's get that taken care of. Starting with Cat. With her, we're just doing a double dose of stealth. After that, we've got Drina, and we're pretty much done with her melee tree, so at this point, we're just pushing for those aura increases. And while we could actually bank that first one right now, we wouldn't really get any benefit from it since we don't have any aura spells just yet. So we'll push for the other one instead. This'll just be for her area stun, but we'll get her some proper aura spells later down the line. And then Ivan, who's probably our most straightforward. He, of course, will just continue filling out the ranger tree, grab that +1 to hit. And then we have 1 point left over, so we'll bank a point of toughness. Why not? That's it for our level up, so let's drop off our Captain Casanova. Then we'll wing by the lighthouse real quick. Lighten things up a bit. Iago stops and regards the Weather Maiden with a sad smile. Out of all of them, she is my only true love, he whispers almost to himself. Farron, my friend, there is work here to be done, and I must be with my crew. Yeah, that's a darn shame. I was just getting used to having you around. I understand, but consider this, my friend. There are many who can swing a sword as well as me, but there is only one who can captain a vessel like me. And I suspect it will take all my skill to get us off this island, when the time is right. Alright, well, you've convinced me. Go be with your crew. It is hard to say how soon we can be ready to sail again. I'll know more once I've talked to my crew. Come find me later. On the deck of the Maiden, I shall give you my best estimate. Farewell for now, my friend. Iago bows deeply. Stay safe. We'll catch up with you soon. As Iago rejoins his crew, a great cheer goes up from the host gathering excitedly around him. You can faintly make out how he regales them with the tales of his daring escape from the dungeons of the cruel Rat Queen. Though there is still bloody work waiting for you inside Haran's walls, you have no doubt made an important ally here today. Perhaps the Weather Maiden and her crew will indeed provide a way off this island, sometime in the near future, ? Perhaps. Oh, right, let's go check in with Zara, see if she's got a reward for us. I'm at your service, but if it's all the same to you, I have work to do. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's what I figured. Basically, our reward for rescuing him is to gain access to the boat. Let's go check in on Matthias. Matthias, you're still alive. Sorry to keep you in the dark for so long, but I've got something here that should brighten your mood. Blessed dead, I knew you could do it. If nothing else, seeing the light still burning bright is bound to give people hope. Emperor's light and all. Yeah, let's hope so. All I have to offer in way of reward is my old sword. It once served me well, but it's getting too heavy for me now. Matthias produces an old but well-crafted broadsword, wrapped in cloth. Oh, Thank you, Matthias. You really shouldn't have. I'm gonna feel pretty bad when I sell this. Oh, yeah, I mean, sentiment aside. We have zero use for this thing, even if we were a sword wielder. Alright, well, see you around, Matthias. Stay safe, etc. Honestly, I'd say we're pretty lucky he's even still alive in the first place. I was half expecting to come back to a horror show. Okay, next on the agenda, back to Harren, where I did, in fact, find a way up onto that wall. I feel kind of silly for not trying this earlier, but yeah, look at that. They used the fixed camera angle against us. All we had to do was drop down below where you can't see the bottom of the stairs. And then the barrels, there were 2. Those contained about 40 pour arrows, which are actually important because for some reason no vendors seem to carry arrows anymore. But more notably, this walkway also leads to this small armory, where the RNG has been very kind, granting us a Masterwork Warhammer of Fire for Drina, and a Masterwork Studded Leather of Speed for Cat. I would still like a Magic War Axe, of course, but honestly, this will work in a pinch. I'm just glad it's stuff we can actually use. And, of course, it would have been nice to grab this stuff sooner. We could have theoretically been up here as early as the moment we first set foot in Harren. But, you know, better late than never. It is definitely still useful. That's it. One more stop. And look at that. Blacksmith's finally open. As is Maja's general goods store. Though neither has anything to say, they're just immediate inventory screens. And as you can see right here, our nameless blacksmith has a very fine magic greatsword. And considering we're still rolling with Roland's starter sword, that would be a very welcome upgrade, which unfortunately we cannot afford. Even if we do cash out this now obsolete gear. I think we might have to go for a 5-finger discount. Something that, generally speaking, I've tried to resist doing since the game does use an anti-theft mechanic to discourage that. Essentially, every time you steal from a character, it gives them stacks of suspicion, which modifies future trading prices as well as future steal checks against that target. I think it does eventually clear, but I've never really tested that. Though I guess we'll find out. This will be our first test case. We'll grab the sword for Roland, and we'll grab that bow for Ivan. Would have been nice if he had a set of magic plate for us, but I don't want to get too greedy. This, I think, is enough for now. And then, hopefully, we'll never have need to trade with this guy again, because, you know. Yeah, that's good. We now actually have a chance of failure, so I don't want to push it any further than that. Not that we really need to, because, my goodness, our guys are starting to look pretty stacked here. Arrow issues notwithstanding. And thusly armed and upgraded. Let's go get withdrawal. Let me just double check our journal real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. We've got the father issue, and then we've got Embla. Drawl? Buddy, looking good. The desecrated temple stands as a sad reminder of the last day's calamities. Standing in front of the main gates with eyes closed in prayer is Hierophant Drawl. As you approach, you can make out a simple prayer of gratitude to the long line of deceased emperors that now watch over the Gallian people. For all their savagery, it seems the madmen were not able to breach the gates of the temple. Drawl's voice is a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. He opens his eyes and looks at you for the first time. A small miracle, perhaps? Yeah, perhaps so. Marcus sent me. And he could have found no better hero for what lies ahead. You seek a way into the keep, and in their infinite wisdom, I believe our forefathers have provided for us. As Marcus no doubt told you, it is said that a tunnel exists between the keep and the temple. I've always considered it a bit of a myth, and in any case, we've never had cause to search for it. Until now, that is. Well, I'm hoping you can at least give me an idea of where to start looking. If the tunnel does indeed exist, I can say with absolute certainty that its entrance lies in the catacombs beneath the temple. In the crypts of the deepest, oldest portions would indeed be where I would place my faith. Okay, I'll give it a look. But we'll keep our expectations low. The old man gives you a determined nod before producing a large key from his robes. Inserting it into the main door's keyhole, he turns it with great effort until something clicks inside. The perfectly balanced doors of the temple swing open soundlessly. The temple's pristine interior lies in stark contrast to the rest of the town, and something about the aura of silence feels off. Yeah, the thought does occur that if there is in fact a tunnel going from the temple to the keep, that tunnel does in fact go both ways. I'm gonna guess we're not alone in here. The elegant marble statue looms over you, unblemished and pristine. An emaciated form dressed in ragged robes frozen mid-gesture while unmasking. Gallian, the first emperor, presides over the serene temple interior. Drina reverently presses her palms lightly against her face, and then removes them in a gesture reminding you of the statue. Drina, what is that? It nourishes me to stand in this hall and find its altar unmolested by the madness that has engulfed this island. Tenderly, she touches the base of the statue and offers a whispered prayer. I've never actually seen one of the emperors before. What's with the mask? Emperors don masks when they ascend to the throne. Being amongst the oldest and most powerful of the Magi, they are already more than human. When they don the mask, it symbolizes that they have risen beyond even their brethren. Do they ever take it off, or? No. The Emperor is never seen without their mask, save by the excubators of the Imperial Palace. The silence hangs for a moment. There is something unsaid. Oh, weird. Okay. Drina, is there something else you wanted to add? The emperors are very old, often several hundred years. They are also beyond powerful, one with the reticulum. One can only imagine the effect it has on their physical form. Perhaps it is best that the common folk never have to see the price of such power. For a moment, a shadow falls over the room. Then it passes. You must be on your way. Oh, boy. Okay, so yeah, obviously the nature of the Emperors has something to do with whatever's going on here. Also, that looks way creepier there than it did in the actual dialogue event. Drawl, you got anything for us? Oh, right, yeah, let's see if he's got new wares. Ooh, spellbook's nice. I'll give that a closer gander between episodes. It'll take a bit of doing to figure out which spells we can even use, let alone which ones are worth using. We'll also hold on to that other magic bow, just so we can get both of our warriors equipped with backup bows. For those rare occasions they can't get base to base. And on we go. Maybe the right way this time. Oh, well. As you enter the dimly lit crypt, your senses are immediately assaulted by the scent of fresh carnage. The scent is still faint enough that you are sure whatever awaits you below has not been dead for long. Your suspicions are soon confirmed. At the foot of the stairs ahead of you lies the mangled remains of a man in white, blood-stained robes. Yeah, that sounds about right. The corpse belongs to a young man with sunken cheeks and a shaved head. A faded tattoo on his forehead marks him as an acolyte of the temple. His face is a mask of pain, terror, or, more likely, both. As you carefully shift him, intestines spill out with a wet squelch. Drina? After examining the corpse, Drina is horrified to discover that the youth's abdomen has been torn apart by claws, or fingers? Stranger still are the thin purple strands festering inside the wound. Drina steps away from the corpse and whispers a prayer beneath her breath. Her eyes are wide with fear as she takes in the mangled display before her. This is not the work of Reavers. Something else is afoot. What do you mean? Like what? This man tended the sacred flesh of the dead. These tombs. She trails off and then, as if deciding something, gives a sharp shake of her head. Come, we must find the cause of this carnage. In the fluttering light of the tomb, you can tell her face has turned ashen gray. Right. I'll follow your lead. Where are we headed? Drina peers into the darkness ahead. I am unsure of the tunnel's exact location, save that it lies somewhere in the deep crypts to the south. However, given what we have discovered here, I would advise we explore this level for clues before moving on. Will do. Don't worry, we'll get to the bottom of this. With one final glance at the corpse, you push aside your fear and delve into the blackness ahead. So our tunnel is south. That means we should check the other directions first. Suss out all the cryptic clues. Such as, for example, more savaged corpses. Stepping into this room, you are at once terrified and awestruck by the alienness mixed with sanctity. A room not meant for common eyes, where the imperial priesthood plies its strange and sacred rituals. Drina begins searching through the piles of tomes on a nearby table, her face still ashen gray, pales even further as her attention turns to the corpse in the center of the room. Drina, what is this place? Drina presses her palms lightly against her face before removing them in a gesture of unmasking. An embalming chamber. This is where our acolytes preserve the sacred flesh of our dead. Why do you do that? Most of us just bury our dead. What exactly is the purpose? Drina does not look at you as she speaks, her attention already reclaimed by one of the tomes. For those touched by the reticulum, the veil between the living and the dead is thinner. Though the flesh may die, an echo persists. With a shake of her head, Drina slams the book shut. This is not the time for theology. We must press on. Okay, but that sounded like it might actually be relevant. The corpse belongs to a graying old man. His face is serene, and there is nothing to indicate he did not die of natural causes. Leaning over the body, however, you spot thin strands of some bizarre, purplish fungal growth protruding from the man's mouth and nose. Okay, I think we've got a general idea of what's going on now. This is the same thing we encountered back in the well. Corpse moss, I think it was called. I think the general gist is that they don't so much control bodies as they absorb them for nutrients and then like recreate monstrous facsimiles, which is actually something I just saw in a show recently, Scavenger's Reign. Finally got around to watching it. After it was canceled, of course, which is a dang shame because that show is fantastic. If anyone's been enjoying this and hasn't watched that, I would wholeheartedly recommend it. Oh, shoot, unpickable. Right, okay, sorry. Back to what we're actually doing. Looks like we can force it. Implies it's barricaded as opposed to actually locked. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty barricaded. For all the good it did these poor guys. Let's see what we've got. We're working long hours into the night to deal with the recent influx of corpses. What compels these people to act so cruelly? Yesterday we had the corpse of a young boy of no more than 12 years come in. He had been beaten to death by the looks of it. Sacred dead preserve me. Were it not for the calling, I'm not sure I would have persevered. A glimmer of light. Brother Arun came running up from the crypt, so frightened he had pissed his robes. He claimed he saw something move down in the crypt. Something unnatural. We laughed till we all fell over, and by the end so did he. No doubt he saw one of the rats, but it's funny where the mind wanders when sleep becomes scarce. Something is wrong in the village. They say some kind of riot is broken out. Hierophant Laos said Drina has gone to investigate, and that we monks should stay in the crypt for our own safety. We try to pass the time with work, but I wish we knew what was happening. They came from the lower crypt. All are dead save me and Brother Arun. We have locked ourselves in the storage room. How can this be? How can such abominations walk? There is no light in the afterlife. Only black stars. No water. Arun did not wake today. I dare not leave this room. I hear them outside. I too shall pass. Black stars beckon. Right, so the fungus grew up into the crypts and absorbed all those preserved corpses, then began spitting out doppelgangers. Also, I guess the general gist of the afterlife in this setting is that there is none, unless you are touched by the reticulum. Strange vines of some unknown purplish growth burst forth from the masonry. As you lean in, fine strands reach greedily towards you. You recoil in disgust and decide it's best to not touch the growths. Yeah, good call. Ah, yes, and that's the entrance chamber, so I guess we're headed south. Opens gate and stares into the abyss. Oh, good. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Oh. You arrive at a dimly lit junction with an intricate mosaic at its center. 4 paths lay before you. As you take in your surroundings, you notice fresh smears of blood leading into the eastern tunnel. Drina peers into the blackness straight ahead. These corridors lead to the crypt's tombs, where we shall find the entrance we seek. Alas, I know not which path is the correct one, and which may lead us to whatever madness lies ahead. Furthermore, the gate ahead appears to be locked. The shuffling of bare feet on stone sounds from down the corridor to your left. You are not alone. Vague shapes linger just at the edge of darkness. "Who goes there?" Drina shouts. An unmistakable tremble has crept into her voice. The terrifying sight of their clawed, bloodied fingers reaching toward you conjures the image of the torn-apart corpses at the crypt's entrance. You steel yourself, determined you will not meet the same end. Death or glory? And we've got shamblers. I'll resist the urge to check their stats. We'll just feel this out. Oh, I'm so tempted to look, but let's hold off. The big question, I think, is going to be whether or not they are vulnerable to backstabs. But we'll find that out the hard way. Just seems appropriate, you know, given the nature of the setting. Here we go. Okay, we cannot crit. That does not bode well for Cat. How about stun? Can we stun? We can indeed. Well, that's something at least. How about disorient? Or disrupt, rather. And the answer is yes. Oof. These guys are chunky, too. Yeah, this is a rough fight for us to not be able to bust out the backstabs or auto crits. I mean, they don't really seem to pose much of a threat offensively. It's just the sheer chonkiness. But, you know, nothing we can't handle. We'll just keep a whacking. I mean, I guess it does make sense if we assume that they are in fact plant-based pod people. Then yeah, they would indeed lack the sort of vitals you could normally target with a well-placed strike. We'll just power through. Immune to injuries, immune to panicked. Makes sense. Let's be careful with our positioning here. Lure the last one out. Go for a double team. Come on now, don't be scared. I'm just gonna kill you. And we're good. Not too bad. That was like 4 or 5 minutes. Hopefully they mix it up a bit down here. If it's just these guys, that will become a bit of a slog. A fine dust whirls up as you progress through the chamber, filling your eyes and nose with a burning sensation that sends you into an uncontrollable fit of sneezing and eventually retching. The sound booms in the echoing chamber and makes your ears ring as stars flash before your eyes. As you reel to escape the invasive spores, you end up crawling on hands and knees towards the exit. A mist seems to be filling the room, or is it simply your vision fading to black? Oh boy. Okay, well now I'm regretting not stacking more toughness. I'm gonna guess you're our best shot here. Oh, thank goodness. Strangely, through the dim veil, you see something. Basalt towers loom across a dead landscape. A strange piping reverberates through all your being. You manage to cover your face with a piece of clothing, and as you shield your face from the impossible vista in the mist, you struggle to gain control of your breathing. A howling wind mixes with the piping, and for a moment you hear the fluttering of tattered robes. Instinctively, you continue covering your eyes. Then, cutting through the maddening noise, you hear a voice as clear as crystals. Drina is reciting a prayer. Then, as suddenly as it started, all is silent. Relief floods through you as you look up and find yourself still in the darkened tomb chamber. Kat grabs your arm with wild eyes. She looks as if she's going to say something, then gives up. As you scramble to your feet, you have a chance to take in the strange growths that fill the chamber for the first time. Alien, tentacle-like roots burst obscenely from the floor, before branching off into a myriad of smaller partitions that seem to spread throughout the entire complex. The growths seem to writhe with peristaltic motion, and as you draw near, strands lift up and reach greedily towards you. You've seen this before. In the well near the farmhouse where you landed on Idra. Farron, let's be on our bloody way, yeah? Kat spits as she backs away towards the door. But, against your better judgment, you take a closer look. The growths seem to shudder with anticipation. Freya, do you recognize this from any of your books? This organism defies any known taxonomy, but there are books, forbidden books, that speak of such things. Algion of Ur wrote of how he saw vast squirming masses shift in the pale light of distant stars, and certain unspeakable Shadi-Wahit texts talk of the crawling doom that came to Erewhon. She shudders. It is best not to think of such things. Yeah, I don't really want to go to Erewhon either. Too expensive. Ivan, you're a local, right? Have you ever seen anything like this? I don't know what to tell you, Farron. I'm not sure what to make of this thing I'm looking at. It most closely resembles some strange fungal growth, but even that's only the most general of terms. I've never seen anything like it before. In fact, I feel certain that this thing is utterly alien to our world. From whence it came, however, I can only guess. Drina? Care to weigh in? Drina's face is wet from sweat as she continually and wordlessly recites some prayers. As you address her, she suddenly stops and fixes you with her gaze. This is madness given form, and in this, the most sacred of places, the home of the dead. She draws her breath and seems to compose herself. We must venture to stamp out this foulness. Hey, if you've got suggestions, I'm all ears. This city is built on ancient foundations. There are crypts below that are far more ancient than this. That must be where this abomination is being spawned. Then again, this is no coincidence. Whatever madness has befallen Idra, this is all part of that same curse. And for now, there are still living that need our aid. As much as it pains me to leave this foulness alive in the crypt, we must press onwards and through to the castle. All I ask is this. Once we retake the city, we will come back here and restore the sanctity of this place. Absolutely. I promise you, we will get to the root of this problem. Interesting. Interesting. And you know what? This feels like a good place to call it. Though it does once again have me speculating on whether or not we're facing one Eldritch entity, or multiple, since it does feel like it is its own separate thing, albeit encroaching into territory held by one of the other potential entities. In this case, the Mother Hydra, I think they've been calling it. Also, man, that lore drop on the Emperor is definitely somehow associated with whatever's going on, but I cannot for the life of me piece it together just yet. We need more context. We need more clues. We'll pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.